Hello and welcome to the 5 p.m. lockdown beers and rugby chat. Hi, I'm Paul. I'll be your host today. What we're going to be talking about? Well, we've got a lot of NPC news to talk about, as well as some Super Rugby Pacific news as well. And I've just realised I've unplugged one of my monitors, so I don't have my clock, so I can't see what time it is, which is not the best way if I'm going to try and open my beer exactly on 5 o'clock. Because yes, look, with the lockdown things and working from home, you could start drinking at a silly early time. But let's keep it a little bit sensible. And at 5 o'clock is the export goal there for me. And just looking now and see that Neil Barnes from Taranaki is not particularly happy with how the decisions for the NPC have been made. But we'll talk about that because we've got a new schedule to the end of the season. Some talking about what promotion relegation will happen and what happens to all those games that won't be able to be played as well. That all we'll talk about all of that today. Also, as I said, we've got some news around Super Rugby signings as well. So we'll have a chat about that one as Moana Pasifika have announced their kind of first. Or not really, they haven't announced it, sorry, but rumoured anyway about one of their marquee players. And also we've got the name of the team from the South Island that will be joining into the Women's Super Rugby competition next year. I'm going to have to get used to the name of that one. But yes, it is 5 o'clock now, so let's crack open that beer, close those work emails, folks, and start winding down for the evening, because I say lots of stuff to get our teeth into today. So Neil Barnes, well, anyway, cheers everybody. Gas in the glass, not in the stomach, sort of old burping there. And if I'm looking down a bit, sorry folks, but my monitor that I normally have behind my screen has decided to die on me for some reason. It's just not, the laptop is not recognized, which is why my other screen over there is also disconnected at the moment. I've been trying to fix it today and haven't really got there, unfortunately. So let's kick off then with the news. So the news is that we've got all the future rounds of the Bunnings NPC have been announced now. And obviously they does not include the North Harbour, Auckland and Counties Manukau teams, because obviously due to COVID they're not able to take place. What that means then is that every weekend, or there can be up to 3 teams each weekend not playing, and so what they're having is they're putting in some non-competitive games in there to make sure that teams don't go 2 weekends without a game. So, for example, this weekend on Sunday, we'll have Tasman versus Bay of Plenty down there in Nelson with a 2 p.m. kickoff. And that won't count towards the NPC, the Bunnings NPC. And it'll be interesting to see how different teams use that one. Will they use it to give wider squad members a go? And how that all kind of works out. So interesting one there as to how that will all pan out. The games that are supposed to happen, or that are supposed to happen, that include Auckland, I'd say North Harbour and Counties Manukau, will be deemed as a 2-all draw. Sorry, but a 0-all draw effectively. So both sides will get 2 points from that. And so they haven't, or the last I looked, they haven't updated the tables to reflect that on the Bunnings NPC website. But I've done a little calculation to figure out what that means for the teams. So let's have a quick look at some of those tables then. Just on the Premiership, and as you can see, Hawke's Bay are top currently on after having played 5 games on 19 points. And then over on the right-hand side there, you can see the games that they were scheduled to play that won't be able to play. So, for example, Hawke's Bay would have played Harbour and Auckland, so they'll pick up 2 points from each of those, which means that effectively at the moment they've played 7 games. They've got 3 more competitive games to play, and with 23 points gained. As you can see, Auckland there will effectively sit in third place currently, having played all 10 of their games on 22 points because they earned 6 points in their first 2 games, and then with 8 games remaining, 2 points from each of those is 16 plus 6, 22. So you can see currently you've got Canterbury and Bay of Plenty in particular in a bit of trouble there. They've played one more game than Canterbury, but are on the same number of points, on 17 points at the bottom there. So in a little bit, they would have been in a little bit of trouble, except they've decided that there will be no promotion and relegation this year. This is what Neil Barnes is unhappy about, and you'll see why in a second about that. So this is the situation at the moment. As you can see, Tasman and Wellington only have 2 more competitive games to play, whereas Waikato and Canterbury have got 4. So this the way the schedule is done has really messed things up, and you can understand why they've, to a certain degree, why they've got rid of that promotion and relegation. Theirs, it's not an even, perhaps not an even draw from all of this. So currently they are going to have a final series of the top 4 going to semi-finals and finals. I expect that by the end of the regular season, Auckland will have dropped out of that top 4, so that shouldn't be a problem there. And it'll be interesting to see who makes it into it. It's look, all those sides have an option on that one. Looking at the championship then, and you can see that Taranaki top the table currently on 22 points, 4 points clear of Manawatu. And even when you take into account the number of sort of those extra games, we get 2 points each. Taranaki then still sit top on 26 points, 4 points clear of Manawatu on 22. You've then got North Harbour and Counties Manukau coming in at into 3rd and 4th on 20 and 16 points. Now there is a good chance that they actually will one of those that North Harbour could stay in that top 4. If so, we'll have to see how New Zealand Rugby decides to deal with that. In the Farah Palmer Cup, what they decided to do was give the top team a bye into the final and have a preliminary final between the 2 teams that were still in the competition who were in the playoff places. And that the people who were in playoff places but weren't part of the competition due to COVID and couldn't take part, basically they didn't replace them in the playoffs. So we'll see how that one pans out, whether they choose to do the same thing for the championship or not, if North Harbour do maintain that place in the top 4. And you think that Otago have already played 4 games and only have 5 points. Northland, again, 5 games, only 6 points. Trying to catch up with that 20th play, 20 points is going to be particularly difficult. I've not read anywhere as to how they will be dealing with that for the final series. So there you go. Those tables are available on the New Zealand Sport Radio Facebook page and also the at Driving Mall on Twitter as well. So if you want to have a peruse and look at those in more details, you can do there. But as you can see, the Naki have had a fantastic start to the season. They top of the table, the form team in the competition. And you can understand why Neil Barnes is upset that having turned them around, that he's not going to have that shot at promotion. He is suggesting that New Zealand Rugby has bowed it down to the bigger unions, because let's be honest, if we go back to the table, Bay of Plenty clearly are at a threat, but so are Waikato on 19 points, and also Wellington as well on 20 points. All those teams could have been relegated if there was relegation still to take place. But so yes, he's not particularly happy about that, according to reports. From a fixtures point of view, what that means is that hopefully I'll be able to make 2 games this weekend. The Northland in their final home game of the season. They'll be hosting that at Rotorua on Friday night. I'm trying to figure out who I talk to be able to get accepted to that game. Got in touch with the person who would do it normally at Northland, and they're not kind of running it. So I have to see whether Bay of Plenty are running it, and just to see how we do that. So hopefully I will be at the Northland game against Otago on Friday night, and then also against on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. at Waikato versus Taranaki, currently at FMG Stadium. Sorry, folks, quick drink break there for those of you on the old podcast. Now that is reliant on Hamilton coming down to level 2 on Thursday night at say 11:58, whatever it is, p.m. Because for that game on Saturday, if not, I wouldn't be. If not, I would expect that game to be moved to Rotorua. Remember that Northland, Waikato have both relocated to Tauranga at the moment due to the COVID levels and in those areas. When we got Canterbury versus Hawke's Bay, Manawatu versus Wellington also on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday that Tasman versus Bay of Plenty game that is not for competition points, as we said. Now, then the following weekend I hopefully will make it to Bay of Plenty versus Northland on the Sunday. Then there's Bay of Plenty versus Waikato that hopefully I'll make on the Saturday for round 9, and finally for round 10. There's Waikato versus Otago on the Friday night, which I hope to make. So hopefully I can make 5 games over the last 4 rounds of this competition for you. We can post-match reactions. Obviously, a lot less games than I normally get to during a Bunnings NPC competition, or might say cup, obviously, in the past. Just so you're aware, the other games that are going on that won't be competition games in round 8 will be Wellington versus Southland. Round 9, Otago versus Wellington. So Wellington with 2 games there that are not competition games. And then finally, Hawke's Bay versus Northland on the final weekend. Now, that is not an automatic Ranfurly Shield game because it is not a competition game. The Hawke's Bay versus Waikato in week 8 could be the last Ranfurly Shield challenge. It'll be interesting to see if Hawke's Bay do put up the Shield as a challenge match in that game against Northland. At the moment, they don't have to. So wouldn't be surprising to see them not do so for that one. And but I'm sure Northland would love to have a crack at the Shield if Hawke's Bay haven't lost it to Waikato in week 8. And then the semi-finals and finals. Semi-finals on the 12th of November to the 13th of November, it's Friday and Saturday there, and then 19th and 21st of November for the finals. That on a Friday and Friday and Saturday. So 19th and 20th of November for the actual finals there. So we'll see if any of those games are ones that I can get to. Essentially, if they're being hosted by Bay of Plenty, unlikely, or Waikato again. Not very likely looking at the moment at the table, but that's definitely a potential one there. So yes, I think that's pretty much everything on the NPC side of things on this one. On the Rotorua International Stadium, it's interesting that I think the only game that will be there this year is going to be that Northland one. Bay of Plenty doesn't look like they are playing any at that one at all, which is interesting. And Simon says that the Northland game is open to the public and have free entry as well. There we go. So interesting that one. This Friday they're going to make it free entry for that game. As I say, I hope to get in with my media pass and so have access to the media section and also do post-match interviews as well. Christian Leofano has been rumoured, according to Sydney Morning Herald, to be one of the marquee signings for the Moana Pasifika. You might remember, I think they said it's like 80% of their team has to be eligible for Samoa, Tonga, or the Cook Islands. And obviously Christian Leofana with his Wallabies caps is not available, is not in that category, so he would have to be one of those sort of players. So they are going to need some experience on that one. So unsurprising that someone they've gone for someone like him. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, in the comments below, there is a link in the show notes. There's a link to or actually if you're listening on the podcast, to the piece that myself and Stephen Harris did, looking at Moana Pasifika and being able to and trying to predict the squad that they would select. We do have a number of players who the rumours have come around that we believe are definitely signed. One of them has even told me himself. So we reckon we know 13 names of the players that are definitely as part of that. We'll go through those 13 names in the Driving Maul show this evening. And we'll tell you of those 13 which ones we predicted, which ones we didn't. If you want to go and see which ones we did predict, the full 30 whatever it is man squad, then go check out the link in the show notes down below. On the Drive More show this evening at 8 p.m, we'll be talking about Moana Pasifika squad residency, as that came up about Fakatava recently, whether we should allow promotion relegation out of the Heartland Championship, as that was something that was asked about yesterday on the show. We'll also talk about USA versus Ireland, because that has been cancelled as part of the end of year tours. I'll have Stephen Harris and Con will be on that show, so I'm sure we'll come back and talk about some of the NPC stuff as well. Now, we're not finished now, folks. Just letting you know what is going on in the Driving More show this evening at 8 p.m. We do have so one of the things we also know is that with the Women's Super Rugby competition that we're having next year, which the Super Rugby Opaki, I think I've got pronunciation hopefully okay there, is that we would have a Blues, Chiefs and Hurricanes team in there, plus a team from the South Island that would cover both the Crusaders and the Highlanders areas. Now, they have announced what the name of that team is going to be. It's going to be Matu. Is the name of the team that will be down there. Again, hopefully, sorry folks, I've got the pronunciation wrong of that one, but that's how it looks to be pronounced to myself. I've not heard anybody actually say the name yet for that one. Previously, we had already known who the head coach was going to be for that team, but they've also announced 5 players as well for this one. I'm trying to find where the 5 players were, because I've been told, I remember reading them somewhere, but I've forgotten who they were now. But obviously, Kendrick Coxidge is one of those players, along with Pip Love, Steph T. O'Hara Fox, Grace Brooker, and T. Rowana Gappa. So those 5 players there. Whitney Hansen and Tony Christie will be assistant coaches down there to Blair Baxter, who is the head coach of that team, who's also the head coach of the Canterbury Farah Palmer Cup side. So I think it's good. As Simon says, I do think the South Island women's team is fair enough. It doesn't antagonise either area, and the colours are neutral. Exactly. Also, look, I think it's a clear sign that, let's be honest, what does the term the Highlanders really, what sort of connection does it really have with that part of the country? Also, the Crusaders, let's be honest, what ties does it really have with Canterbury, apart from the fact that Christchurch is the name of the main city there. So, look, I think it really shows you that if they were coming up with names for these for the Super Rugby franchises now rather than 25 years ago, they would not have chosen those names. It would have been names much more like Matamatu that they've chosen here for the women's team. We've obviously become much more the sort of Pacifica and Maori language in particular has become much more mainstream. So great to see that the use of that the aquamarine, aqua blue kind of colours with that one. Otago Southend have a very strong Scottish heritage. I understand a lot of Scottish people have settled down there. It does make more sense than the Crusaders one, absolutely, with that one. But it was interesting that when the British and Irish Lions came, had their games against the Super Rugby franchises, when they played against all the other teams except for the Highlanders, they received some sort of Maori symbol or trophy. When against the Highlanders, it was a claymore sword. So interesting one there. I'd say from that one, the cultural side of things that they've taken there. So great to see Matu along the way there, suddenly getting announcements around that one, probably being overshadowed, by the NPC schedule and news announcements, and also by the Moana Pasifika rumor that's dropped about Christian Leali'ifano in there on that one. But still, some good news to see that all progressing and around that side of things. So that's your sort of rugby news from the past 24 hours, folks. And don't forget to join us for the Driving Maul show this evening. As I say, we'll be having a chat about the rest of those names that we know or that we've heard on the grapevine that are signing up for Moana Pasifika, as well as revisiting that residency news around Whakatava that we talked about a couple of days ago. Touching on that Heartland promotion, I'll probably touch on it now as we talk about a lot about the NPC. So yesterday it was suggested that one have promotion and relegation between the Heartland Championship into the Bunnings NPC. Look, at the end of the day, the Bunnings NPC teams are semi-professional, with professional players plus some semi-professional players in there, whereas the Heartland Championships are very much amateur teams. And the difference in the levels of conditioning means that any team that came up, and the different levels in the available coaching and just the resources that they have, then any team that came up will just go straight back down again straight afterwards. So, look, I don't think there's anything really to be gained much by the fact that that there would be, that we would have promotion relegation now. I don't think it would be something on there. Science is the only support King Country and Wanganui to be promoted. The other ones are too small. I'm not sure that that those ones are big enough in themselves, to be honest with you. But there we go. I guess also not just from a players and numbers point of view, but also from a financial point of view. New Zealand Rugby, or New Zealand as a place, can only support so many professional teams, so many professional players. And I don't think there's enough to support or to be able to support another one. To be honest on that, technically you have to have a city in your province to be in the NPC. I don't know if that's necessarily. I don't know how they came up with the top teams from that point of view. So, So I'm not sure that technically you have to have a city, but I think from a financial point of view, you have to have a city, because if you don't have a city, you've not got the sort of sponsors and the financial backing to truly support a professional team. And let's be honest with that one. So really interesting stuff from the NPC. Good to see that. So we've got that transparency from New Zealand Rugby now as to what's going to be happening for the last 4 rounds of the season, plus those semi-finals and finals in that one. A bit of a shame around promotion relegation. It's going to be real tough on Taranaki and Manawatu, the two sides that look like they were that was a 2-horse race for that promotion place. I say Bay of Plenty in particular, possibly Wellington as well, breathing a little bit easier now that has been taken off the table. Because whilst Taranaki and Manawatu have overperformed the season on pre-season expectations, you've got to say Bay of Plenty have disappointed in the other direction, not helped by the vast number of injuries they've had, particularly in the back line. Let's be honest, they played last weekend effectively with a scrum half, a fly half, and then 5 wingers or 5 fullbacks because they just had no fit centres at all to play in their game. So you've injuries, particularly an issue at this level with relatively thin squads. Let's be honest on that one. So so that's it for Lockdown Beers. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Lockdown Beers. Don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. for the Driving Wall show as well. Thank you, everybody.